Dr. Arthur Caplan is with us. He is the director of the Center for Bioethics at the University of Pennsylvania, the author and editor of more than 24 books, including the Penn Center Guide to Bioethics. med.upenn.edu is his website. Dr. Caplan, welcome back to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So, in that setup, did I, as kind of sloppy as it was, do you think that I captured the essence of the ethical issue here?
Well,
or would you like to restate it? I'm sure you can restate it better. Go for it.
I think the question is, should Jared Loughner, the guy who was involved allegedly in the Tucson shootings,
right,
should he get medicated without his consent? Right now he's in a federal medical prison in Missouri, so that he could stand trial, face possible charges of the death penalty as a result, although he may face them anyway, whether he gets medicated or not. And that's what I wanted to add. They could still charge him. Or is it better to keep him schizophrenic, which is what the experts say is, hearing voices, having disordered thoughts, basically being mentally tortured? And that's what his attorneys want, because they don't want him in court looking anywhere near normal.
Because they're assuming that the crazier he looks in court, the less likely, the more likely an insanity defense will be successful.
Correct.
Or if they don't go down the road of an insanity defense, the more sympathetic he will appear to a jury and less likely to get the death penalty.
Exactly.
So,
and Arizona has the death penalty. It's got about 100 people on death row.
Right. And if there was ever a death penalty case, if you're a believer in the death penalty, I happen not to be one, but if there ever was one, this is it. I mean, the guy, killed a bunch of people, including
wounded 14.
Yeah, including a child.
Yeah.
And clearly planned it for some time. So, and in fact, apparently had been stalking Congresswoman Giffords for some time. So, what's as a bioethicist, what's your take on this?
So, I think what we usually ask first and foremost is, if you're going to medicate somebody against their will, don't they have the basic right that we all have to say no to medical treatments? That's been a right that's been hard fought to create. We saw it in the Terry Schiavo case when a husband tried to refuse a feeding tube for his wife. We've seen it when Jehovah's Witnesses say, no blood for me, even if I die.
Right.
It's been a long battle to create the idea that no one can touch you or do anything to you medically unless you give consent. So do you lose that when you go to prison? That becomes sort of a core issue. What kind of rights intrusion is okay there? And then competency. So this guy clearly is a very disturbed person. Even people who were there at the scene of the shooting, who wrestled him to the ground and sort of saw him and interacted with him, he was clearly out of control and quite disturbed at the time. He's had other problems long before the shooting. He got bounced out of community college because he couldn't control himself in the classroom. He had all kinds of outbursts. He's got a long history of mental illness. So do we care what he says about his medicine? Is he competent enough to decide whether it's good for him or bad for him, both in terms of controlling his mental disorders and the risk that it might put him at a trial?
Right.
Then I think the third and last one is, well, his defenders certainly want to keep him away from even the risk of the death penalty, but keeping him crazy, and I use that term, generically,
yeah.
but let's say just keeping him crazy, is that really in his best interest, even if it keeps him away from a death penalty charge? I mean,
well,
keeping him
it
that
seems
way
like
forever?
No. I mean, clearly, if you plead an insanity defense and you are, I don't know if convicted is the right word, but you are declared insane and sent off to an institution for the rest of your life, you get treatment in that institution.
Remember, though, Tom, if they treat him and he starts to sort of regain normality, they could charge him anyway.
All over again.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
So when you start moving down the line of no meds...
Now, that did not happen in the case. Wasn't it the kid who shot Reagan who pled insanity?
Correct, Hinckley.
Yeah,
and
Hinckley. His dad was a good friend of George Bush's.
He's asked for passes, and he's been let out on some day passes, but I don't think anyone's declared him sort of fit for trial, despite the fact that he's somewhat better, I guess.
Yeah, and there probably isn't enough of a public outcry to provoke that.
Yeah.
But in this case, there almost certainly would be. So in the minute we have left, Dr.
Yeah.
Caplan, what's in your mind? What's the bottom line?
So here's how I see this. Here's how I think it through. I think it is in his interest to get some treatment. If they can make him better, good. The drugs are not guaranteed to help him, but if they do, good. Remember, the issue in part is not is he mentally ill right now, but was he mentally ill when he committed the crime? And that's a little different. And I think the case for that is going to be strong. I don't think you're going to be able to kill him or sentence him to death because I think he was quite crazy the day he engaged in these behaviors. And even if he seems better now, if we medicate him.
But can we trust a jury to have that rationality?
It's a gamble, but I think it's the right strategy to go. Keeping him out of it and not giving him any effort at really sort of bringing him out of his schizophrenic state, I don't think that's really in his best interest long term.
Even if it means he gets executed?
Even if it means he faces that risk of execution. But to me, when you listen to the victims and they're saying how bizarre he was, how out of control he was that day, it's hard for me to believe that anybody is going to send this guy to the gallows.
Very interesting. Dr. Arthur Caplan, med.epenn.edu. Dr. Cap, and the most recent book, The Penn Center Guide to Bioethics. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks, Tom.
And I should say Twitter, @Arthur Caplan. Great talking with you. We will be back 27 minutes past the hour. What would you do if you were his lawyer?